so-called flying saucers.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. It's rotating.
Welcome to Kill the Stigma. Hey, just wanted to do a video because I'm going on vacation. Gonna see the most beautiful girl on the planet. In my eyes, I'm gonna be a wife for like a week. So, but it seems like there's a lot going on. So I wanted to like comment, and I'm not really sure how to. I wasn't even sure if I should report on my thoughts because I don't want to fearmonger, and I don't really think it's a big deal. Like, I just wanted to keep in mind what certain people said, because these people are important and they know what they're talking about. So I just kind of wanted to throw it out there, but nobody should freak out. I'm actually more terrified of humans having this technology than NHI. So I'll say one more thing. Even if NHI is hostile, I think humans are strong. Let's just pretend that they are, right? Just because you're more advanced doesn't mean you're stronger. I can still be scared of a shark or a killer whale or a bear. You know what I mean? It's like the gorilla in the cage thing, right? Humans are strong, so, and the fact that the phenomenon just crosses right underneath that line where people can ignore it, your average Joe, it says to me that if they are hostile, they are, I don't want to say scared, but they do that for a reason, because maybe if we all wake up, they might have a problem, like we might figure their weaknesses out. I'm gonna touch on one question, one aspect, just one. I'm just gonna focus on the NHI part today. There's a lot of reasons for secrecy, but I'm gonna focus on the NHI part today. Why the secret? And I'll just let the people that should know tell us their concerns about it. Deal? Deal.
Look, Kurt, I'm
for lack of transparency.
yeah, I'm a little more practical and probably a little bit more less optimistic for our species on this particular question. What if there was knowledge, Kurt, that was so volatile, so earth-shattering, that the mere knowledge of that getting out could predicate an action that could potentially threaten the entire species? Now, what do I mean by that? For just a moment, take off the scientific hat, take off your humanitarian hat, take off your philanthropic hat, and put on a hat of national security. We just talked about the fact that there's no indication that these things have been here to help us. Okay, so there's really only three possibilities: they're benign, or if you will, benevolent, or two, they are malevolent, they're here to hurt us, or three, they're just here to observe us, and they're capable of doing both good and bad like us. Well, if you were to put on your national security hat for a second, let's say you're a general from the 1950s or 60s, and your job is to protect America and all things good and great, and the height of the Cold War, and you've got the Soviet bear across there, and things are pretty tough, right? And nuclear proliferation is a real thing. Now, you have information that there is something here that can outperform anything you have. And really, anything you have is rather ineffective from a national security perspective. And there's a thing out there, and it doesn't show that it's being benevolent. So it's only one of two other options: either malevolent or it's like us. And we see this very careful ISR surveillance of our nuclear equities. It's interested in nuclear equities. Well, some may look at that as what we call preparation for the battlefield. Okay. And let's just say hypothetically, there's a 10% chance, US has a 10% chance that these things are bad, or one day they're going to come here in force, and they're looking at us, right? Remember, you're putting on your national security hat. So forget about everything else for a moment. Your job is to be paranoid. And there's a small remote chance that these things are not good. And maybe there is a plan for these things at some point to come in force in 50 years from now. And if the mere fact you have this conversation with the American people, what's going to happen? Well, the American people are going to start getting prepared. Well, I can tell you in real life combat situations, when we send in long range surveillance LRS teams, behind enemy lines, the moment the enemy finds out that we know that they know we're there, the surprise element of surprise is over. And so ultimately, hypothetically, imagine a scenario where maybe we had 50 years to prepare for something, but now that the cat's out of the bag, that existential action will happen tomorrow. And by the way, we're not ready for it. We're not prepared for it. We don't have a countermeasure. We don't have a capability to counter this. And so from a very real perspective, a national security perspective, the mere fact that you are acknowledging the existence of something may predicate an action or an act that you're not prepared to have right now. And so I encourage you and your listeners to just for a moment, I'm not asking you to be a national security person, but I'm asking you to suspend your personal beliefs right now for just a moment and put yourself in somebody else's shoes who does feel that way, right? Now, what do? If the mere fact of talking about this could potentially cause a reaction that you're not ready for as a country, as a civilization, right? Maybe that's the reason why you decide to only brief certain presidents who have a background in intelligence. Maybe they were former directors of CIA, but the other presidents who are career politicians will be, they're here today, gone in 4 years. Maybe you can't even risk telling them. And so maybe the reason why this has been kept secret so long is actually, in a weird sense, some sort of sense of patriotism by people. And maybe that's how they justify it. And I'll leave that at that as a counterpoint of forcing people to think maybe a little bit non-traditionally. Now, do I think if that happened to ever be the case, that's a good explanation? No. I still think that we have to be honest with the American people. It's like I've said this before, it's like going to the doctor. Just because I have cancer, it's bad news. Don't keep that from me. I want to know, because maybe there's a chance I can do something about it, right? And so
there, Lou Alessandro got asked why the secret, and that was his answer. Interesting.
All right, so this is an important slide because if we want to facilitate this board doing its work, then the barriers that impede that need to be lowered. And so you need to understand what the impediments are to disclosure. And so there's 6 reasons for non-disclosure: national security, lack of a plan, societal disruption, covert agreement, cover for misdeeds, and organizational intransigence. And you could just derive this from first principles. And so a lot of this has been talked about already, but let's look at societal disruption. Challenge to existing authority structures, ontological shock, market crash, false authority syndrome, stagnation of initiative. All of these are issues that are preventing disclosure. They're going to impact the plan that the board develops. If you actually shred through these issues, you realize these are really not government issues. These issues are more effectively solved in the private sector, in the academic sector, in legal reviews and policy discussions, in the natural sciences. So this tees up the opportunity for Saul Foundation and the members here to contribute to the solution of this plan, because there's a linkage here.
The question that arises, how can we make a fair determination about the potential risks and benefits of disclosure without access to all the facts? If the U.S. government has recovered extraterrestrial technology decades ago, there has inevitably been some progress in assessing it and hopefully some insights gleaned regarding the nature and intent of the designers. However, nobody with credible access to such information has provided any details. One of the only things we can say with certainty at this point is that unless this intelligence proves to be angelic, which is not what our military is reporting, disclosure would undeniably frighten, if not terrify, many segments of the world population. Moreover, what if disclosure precipitated a change in the behavior of an alien civilization because they no longer had an incentive to remain elusive and clandestine? What is the risk that disclosure might cause some governments to overreact, precipitating fearful and aggressive interactions? If these risks are substantial, would it still make sense to release this information?
Well, it still makes sense to actually release this information. Tell you what, I want this information, but if I was the president of the United States and that were to be true, that would be a tough decision, not gonna lie. I don't all right, why am I saying this? Because there was a leak last week. We all know what happened. Immaculate Constellation, I think it's called. I saw Christian Harloff say that he doesn't think it's a coincidence that all this is happening because there's been a lot of sightings, reports of crashes. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and I don't think it's a coincidence either. So, just something to keep in mind. Don't freak out. Just honestly, I don't know what's going on, but it's fascinating and frustrating, the suppression of the information that's been going on, because literally Washington, D.C., I saw the videos of all those police, the police department, all these people there, like something's going on. And I can't find anything on the internet. All I can find is like Langley Air Force Base, but like there's a lot more going on than that. And why the effort to suppress it so much? You know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna say it. I know there's a lot of. I wouldn't talk about I'm not saying Miami Mall is real or nothing, but why didn't they just like give us the information? It's very similar to that, and it makes me very suspicious. It's in the effort that they go through to cover stuff up is fascinating and frustrating, and maybe. I don't know if they're right. I only know these people are serious. And what the hell is number 4 on reasons to not disclose? Did you guys see that? Carl Nell? Covert agreements? Disclosure will accelerate negative repercussions? NHI quid pro quo? What? You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I honestly would have laughed at that, but it's this super serious guy telling us this, and I gotta take it kind of seriously. I don't have a choice. I can't afford to like ignore a person like that, you know? So I'm not gonna fearmonger and go down this fear rabbit hole and let this affect my life, but like I do take that into consideration, and you gotta understand the program that leaked. It's like pretty sensitive. It almost sounds like it's like the watch committee from the Wilson Davis, you know? So like the Wilson Davis memo, which is a super sensitive program, right? The bigot list. And if there was an agreement, which I don't know. I wonder if someone's trying to send a message. But I just felt like I had to report on this, even though I'm not a reporter. I just wanted to just throw my thoughts out there, you know? And I apologize for that. Maybe I did. I gotta go. I gotta catch a plane. It's already boarding, so I don't have much time to do some really good editing and to have my camera. I'm moving. Peter Lavenda. I didn't have time to like look at people. I was too busy doing this, but next time. Maybe next time I will. I don't know. Have a good one, guys.